Hi everybody, it's Evelyn again. I'm going to attempt to wrap up this little painting. I'm calling it a painting because I'm using Inktense. This is a wonderful image by Emily Illustrators, and I am using Inktense, this is going to be the first full picture I've done with Inktense. So I'm hoping it turns out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I started this in the first video. I did the cup and the leaves and the flower. The second one I did the other flower and finished up the leaves. So hopefully I can do the rest of it. And I'm going to start with these little bushes, and I'm going to go with my favorite color, which is hooker green. I love hooker green, and I have discovered that using a palette, which is the Crin Dash palette, that I get a better result, or a result that I prefer. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I am using a brush, a water brush, but I'm actually not going to be using a lot of the water out of the water brush because I have no control. I accidentally hit the little buttons and add color or add water whenever I don't want to, so I'm just using the brush, and I have a small thing of water here to rinse my brush off. But I'm going to do these little bushes, and I'm starting off by just doing the ends in the hooker green of the leaves here. I think I got way too much water on here. I know I have way too much water. Sorry, I'm concentrating. Stopping talking during a video is a bad thing, and I know this. Oh, it's been a day. It's been a day. It is still Sunday, believe it or not. It's getting later and later in the day. I was supposed to work today. I've yet to do any work. I'm going to regret that come this next week, but hey, I'm at 50 some odd hours this week, so if I take a day off, it's not going to kill me. I may go in and work later. We shall see. For those of you that don't know, I work for an auditing firm, and the end of the quarter is always maddening, and we're up against a end of quarter deadline, and we actually have 2 quarters worth of work due at the same time. So we've got double the work load at the moment, so I have been putting in massive hours, which I don't mind, but every once in a while you just have to step back and do something different than work. I don't think, as I said, I probably regret not working today later in the week, but at this point I'm going with what I got, and I needed the downtime. I'll be honest, I needed the mental break, but if you don't see me around a lot in the next 2 weeks, you'll please understand why. I may not post video or post all next week, next weekend, because it is due date. And in the midst of all this chaos at work, we have to go and finish moving out of our former office. We have until the end of the month to do that, and since we've all turned in our keys, there's only one person that has keys to the our old office, and boss has decided that this Friday is the date we're gonna go in and finish moving. We've got 50% of everything out of the office, but we need to wrap up, and it's amazing to me. I used to spend most of my time at the office, so I have quite a bit of personal stuff there that didn't realize how much, because there's paintings and big pictures that I hung on my office wall, and a lot of minor things that are stored in, I had a big desk, and I had stuff stored there. I have removed most of it, but there's still a lot of things there that I have not removed, and I need to get those and decide what's going to the new office and what's coming home. We are not going back to being in the office full time, although we are going to have a new office space. We're not going in every day. It's going to be used basically to meet clients, and that, now that I've tipped off these bushes with the hooker green, I'm going to go with slightly lighter color called beach green. Make a nice big splotches the beach green, because it's going to take quite a bit of color here. I'm going to put the hooker green back so I make sure that I'm only using one color. I drop a bit of color, a bit of water on that, and this is a slightly different green. A little bit more water, you get a little bit lighter. Rub that in. Trying to do a little bit of shading. I noticed I am getting a little bit more confident in my as I go along in this picture. I'm getting a bit more confident in my usage. This is, as I said, this is my first full picture using the Inktense. The first time I used them was an unmitigated disaster, and I put way too much. I colored the area that I was using the Inktense in as if I was using colored pencil, and then I added water, and it was a mess. It was just a mess. I have since learned from my mistake, I hope. Have learned that using for me personally, using a palette is the better way to go. And that's my personal preference. uh, Coloring on the page may work better for some people. For me personally, it seems like I'm doing a better job controlling the ink by using a palette, but we shall see how this turns out. I also have the added pressure of I don't want to just destroy this wonderful picture by Emily Illustrator. She does such a cute pictures, and I really hi baby, I'm being visited. I got a cat wanting attention. I really I want to do this picture justice, because Emily, I know it takes Emily, any artist that does illustrations, it takes a significant amount of time and effort to do them, and I don't want to I always want to honor their work that they do, and pay homage to their hard work and labors to give us wonderful coloring pages. I mainly do PDFs that, although I do have quite a large number of coloring books, I have taken to, if I can, taking them apart, and too much color, too much water, and I make PDFs out of them so I can print them on the paper that I prefer. And at the moment I am in love, and this is the paper I'm using for this image, is the Nina 65-pound cardstock. It's holding up really well to the water that I'm using, although I'm trying to be minimalist with my water. It's still, you're still putting water on paper, and I do have watercolor paper. I didn't realize I did until after I printed this picture, and it's like, well, I should have done it on watercolor paper, but I figured the Nina will work well, and I am right. The key, as far as I'm concerned, is not to get an overabundance of color. I know that, or not color, water. I want the color. I don't want to drown the paper. You can quickly drown the paper. In water. I'm discovering. So I'm trying to be minimalistic on my color usage, or my water usage. This turned out kind of cute. I'll put more water on my palette, mute that out. The nice thing I have discovered about Inktense is that depending on how much water you use is how much dark or light you get. And I'm turning the page again, which is a apparently recurring theme for me, is turning the page. I did take the time this morning to actually swatch my colors. which has helped a lot. If you're not swatching, I do recommend it, even though I'm really bad at following through on that, the swatching. I have a tendency to grab pencils and I just wing it, and I have discovered, because have been encouraged to swatch, that swatching actually is very helpful, because then you have an idea of what you're working with and how the colors are going to look. I do have the big book of color swatches. My only complaint about that book is it's on really cheap paper, and I like a little better quality paper. I have restarted swatching on paper that is more accurate to what I normally color on, just so that I have an idea of what it's going to look like on the actual paper that I use. There are PDF files of color swatching sheets out there, which are awesome. One of the best sources that I have found is Emily Illustrators. She has a large number of color swatch files on her YouTube channel under files. If you remember her group, which are really, really helpful. So I'm going to be spending some time swatching some pencils that I have yet to swatch. But that's going to be next month. It's not going to be in June, that's for damn sure. I don't have time. I unfortunately, work sometimes, or real life sometimes take over, and you just don't have time to do everything that you would like to do. And that is what I'm finding right now, is I don't have the time to do what I want to do. As I said, I'm Bessie, baby. That was Riggs, the world famous Riggs, sneezing at me. Apparently, he's been sniffing around and he got something that made him sneeze. He's running around here, being just a puppy dog, I'll tell you. Took a little bit of break, let the picture actually dry. From the last video that I filmed to this one, and that was mainly because I had to spend some quality puppy time. Every once in a while, quality puppy time is very much called for. So that's my day so far today. Has been coloring. 5 minutes ago you didn't want to go out. Now you want to go out. You're just gonna have to wait. He's filming. I am being looked at like I'm ignoring him, and I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. I very much love my puppy, but for right now, he's gonna just have to wait until I get done. Animals are wonderful until they interrupt you. But yeah, taking sometimes I find taking time for myself is a little challenging. But today I've taken time out and taken advice of several friends and did some relaxing stuff today. And that should make me a better employee tomorrow whenever I get back in there and actually start working again. I'm very lucky. I'm working from home, so going to work is a 20-foot commute versus having to get in a car and driving. I'm blessed with my job. I realize that not everyone is that lucky. Got those done. And I noticed something whenever I was looking at this earlier. I have very little blue in this picture. And although I wouldn't call myself a great fanatic of blue, I do like blue. So I'm going to make these flowers a peacock blue. And I'm just going to put down a layer. And peacock blue is kind of a bluish purple, which will satisfy my need for purple. Purple is my favorite color. And I am also blessed. I do have a set of the 72 Inktense, so I have lots of colors to play with. Get some ink on my brush. Gonna knock off a little bit of the water. I am finding it hard, and I know with more practice I will not find it as hard at shading with the Inktense. And I think with practice I will get better. I hope I will get better. As I said, this is the first time I've done a full picture with Inktense. Before that I used them and made a mess, and I put them away, and I thought, I have these wonderful pencils that a lot of people really like. I've seen people using them and thought, I'm gonna give it a try. And I may end up doing more or using them, maybe not as a full picture again, because as I said, I'm having a little trouble shading, and I do not plan on using pencil to shade over. That may be a regret of mine later on down the road. But I know you can shade with the over the Inktense, because it is basically ink, and you can go over it with pencil with no problem. But I have elected not to do that, and I know I keep turning the page. I am not a professional artist in any way, shape, or form, so I turn my page a lot. I'm trying not to do it quickly. I keep going out of the lines. I am not that good. I'm better with pencils, regular colored pencils. I totally and completely will own up to that. Although the last time I did this, I saw this picture done. It was by Belinda and Emily, and they were using fingerprints. So, you know, I may have to redo this picture in pencil and see which one I like the best. But I've been, ever since I saw Belinda and Emily do this with fingerprints, I kind of fell in love with the image. So I just had to do it. And I figured it's I'm not gonna say simple image. That's not the right word. It's not like a Kirby image that has got lots and lots of small detail. This has detail without being an overwhelming amount of detail. So that's why I chose to do the Inktense on it, is because I figured hopefully I won't mess it up and embarrass myself with the Inktense. At least that's the plan, and so far I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. It's not as detailed as I normally do whenever I do regular pencils, but for a first attempt with a medium I'm not used to using, it's not turning out half bad. I'm not embarrassed by it, which is always a good thing. And I also discovered that they dry relatively quick, which I was kind of shocked, because whenever you use standard watercolor, boy howdy, they dry really, really quick. I'm going to go back in with the Hooker Green and do Hooker Green just on these flowers for the greenery. I truly love the color Hooker Green, and it's not just because of the name. It's a beautiful green, and I am not a green fanatic. I am green is probably one of my green and orange are probably one of my least favorite colors to use. It's always I use green for greenery, although I probably use green more than I use orange. I rarely, if ever, actually use orange in anything, and it's not a color that it's not a go-to color for me. But I want flowers in this world come in multiple colors, and I wanted this picture, since it's a fairy house, to be colorful and happy. That is the vibe I'm going for. I don't know if I'm being successful, but it's certainly not turning out dull. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the vase. Emily has drawn it as a clear vase, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, how I'm going to handle that, since I may make it a blue colored vase. But we shall see how that turns out. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not really sure. Let me just color great big swatches there. I said, hooker green is probably my favorite of the greens. It's probably my go-to green. I use it more than any other color. No matter what medium I'm using, if I'm going to be using green, I always start with hooker green because it is just a beautiful color, in my opinion. I'm sure other people will tell me that they have their favorite colors too. There you go. And do the final part of the stem. And go ahead down into the bottle. I'm making this purposely a little bit lighter in color because I'm going to go over it. Now, unfortunately, I have lost my yellow shading, and I'm going to go in with, this is cadmium yellow. And put that up some of this color here with the cadmium yellow. I'm going to go in to the centers of these flowers and make them nice and yellow. Nice bright yellow. Then I'm going to put a little more water on my color and mute it out a little bit. And go back over these leaves so I get that reflection from the window on here. Okay. I'm going to take, this is medium brown. And I don't know, I'm going to leave that. Well, I first thought I was going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Take my medium brown, give that a chance to dry, and I'm going to go and paint the stool bottom here is pretty medium brown. I will say this about the Inktense, I really like the colors. They are very nice. It's a nice, there's a nice variety of colors in the 72 set. It's not heavy on one particular color. There's not like a ton of greens, a ton of, an overabundance. I am going to go with this is called double, not making up. I'm going to go with Payne's gray, and I'm going to put a swatch of Payne's gray down, and I'm going to, because I'm going to do the rocks in Payne's gray. And yes, I'm putting down quite a bit of color on my palette. Okay. slightly bigger brush. Here it is. And these, I'm not even sure what brand of water brush I have here. Isn't that sad? I bought them quite a while ago, and I'm not even sure what brand they're supposed to be. And the Payne's gray is a bluish gray. It's on the blue side. But I'm going to do these rocks in this Payne's gray. Trying not to go too far off the lines, and covering quite a bit of area with this Payne's gray. That's why I put quite a bit down on the board. Trying to get a nice even coat. And this is another reason why I have the ceramic tile under my picture, is if I go over and color, it's easily removed from the ceramic tile. Unlike if I was on the wood of my table. And if I really put get a lot of color on it, a little Clorox wipe or wipe with alcohol really does the trick on cleaning it up. Getting a little streaky there. I'm trying to think of what color I want to make the bottle top for the seat. I know I'm working on the rock at the moment, but I want it to stand out and be and be cheerful rock, or cheerful bottle cap, I should say. And I'm not going up right against this. I'm letting the ink flow to the line of this printing, and I use a laser printer, so I'm confident that my ink is not going to run whenever I put water on it. I have a laser printer because that's what I need for work, and I before we permanently went home to working from home, I did work occasional weekends from home, so yeah, I invested in a laser printer, and it's actually has put me in good stead whenever I print my PDFs, because I don't have to worry about whether the ink has dried from a inkjet printer. I can print and start coloring without worrying about smears on the ink. But I know they're not for everybody, and not everybody likes using a laser printer, so but that is what I use, and one of the reasons why I can print, I'm not worrying about whether the ink is going to smear with using this water, because if you don't have the ink totally dry on a picture that you printed on a laser printer and you put water on it, you are going to have problems. You're going to get ink smears. Okay, I'm going to take some more Payne's Gray here, put down next to where I have the water. I can pull that in. I can do this other rock on the other side here. I kind of diluted it out, and a little too much diluted it out. Okay. Put a second coat under that rock. I know this is very one-dimensional. Whenever I understand that this picture is coming out one-dimensional. I will eventually get the hang of these, I promise, but until I get a little better with the Inktense, anything I do with Inktense, I have a feeling is going to be the one kind of one-dimensional and not with a lot of shading. I've seen people do shading with Inktense, but I'm not up to that caliber yet. It's going to take me working with them for a while, and to get the hang of them. It's something I'm going to probably have to play with some more. Probably should have played with them before I decided to do videos with them, but live and learn. As I said, I'm not afraid to fail on camera. We all have failures in life. Not everyone is perfect. We all have those pictures that we finish and think, okay, I'm done. Did not turn out the way I wanted it, but if you're not afraid to fail, then you never try new things. Okay, clean off my brush. I'm actually pushing it. What I'm doing is pushing with the water that's in the water brush to clean off my brush, to get most of the ink out of it before I cap it. And hi, baby. I know. Let's see. Go with the. Yes. This is charcoal gray. The Payne's Gray is a purple gray, or blue gray. I shouldn't say purple. Blue gray. You're gonna have to wait a little bit, okay? Yes, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. Riggs is wanting me to go play with him and go potty. I'm hoping that he can hold out until I finish this video, because I don't want to go into part 4. Thin that out a little bit. I'm going to make these rocks. This is more of a yellow gray. This charcoal gray, it has more of a yellow tint to it. I wanted the rocks on the bottom, these smaller rocks, a different color, so there's definitely a deviation in them. this has definitely got a more yellow green tint to it than what the Payne's Gray does, and you can really, I don't know if you can see that they really kind of stand out against, but I thought that would be nice contrast to the Payne's Gray and then the green in the foliage. I just noticed I missed a leaf. Oh, way too much water. Too much water on my on my palette here. I'm not getting the variation in color that I was hoping for, so I'm gonna probably have to put a little more charcoal gray down and to darken up so I can shade around on these rocks a little, but there you go. You get the base color on, and then I can mess with shading. I'm going to take the charcoal gray while I've got it here. I cleaned off my brush. And for these pop tops, oh my goodness. Till it's getting later in the day, I'm having trouble speaking. Them this same gray. Okay. Again, I'm going to grab the charcoal gray and I'm going to put another dry charcoal gray down. I'm going to take a little bit of the water that already has the charcoal gray and I'm going to make it a little darker here, make it a little more intense. Shade out. A little bit of shading on there. Too intense. Right out. Kind of look like a rotting potato. They said, I am not an expert with Inktense. Obviously, I am not an expert with Inktense. Clean my brush off. I noticed I missed this little leaf here, so I'm going to go back in with my green. Put that in. Okay. And let's see. What color should I do the pop top? About This is Shints. I'm not sure the proper verbiage of that, but it's a pretty kind of a reddish pink. So actually it's a reddish purple. Oh, way too much water there. Do a base coat on that. Go in with some more ink. See if I can get a little shading on this. This is why I did not do this live. There you go. It's like I knew this was going to be not turn out exactly the way I had originally envisioned, but it's not turning out bad. It's just not exactly the way I had originally envisioned. Okay, I'm going to use the same color. I'm going to do this big button. I think a fairy would have nice bright colored buttons. Maybe the edge of that. And a charcoal gray again, but a stronger mix. More pigment. Okay. And I am well aware that I have not, as of yet, done the big major portions. I'm going to take some of the blue that I have sitting on my palette and do this little square button. Way too much water. Soaking up some of the water. Yeah, I'm going to do and for the final button, what color would a fairy? How about the golden yellow? No, let's do more. This is a CMA gold. I'm just going to put a little bit down since I'm going to be using a little area. For this final button. There you go. And I'm at 55 minutes now, so I'm going to some green here and leaves on this. Again, I got way too much water. Whenever you have a puddle of water sitting on your paper, is never a good thing. There. With that, I'm going to call it on this video, or this chapter. On the next video, I'm going to do the top and this and the glass, and I'm going to call it. I know I need to do a background color. I have not decided what the background color will be. I'll let you be surprised once I post the picture. And I've got to do the grass, so I'm going to call it for this one, and I will be back to finish up this picture. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.